Growing sweet corn isn't like popping a tomato plant into the ground and hoping for the best. It's actually a thrilling, high-stakes race against the clock. Welcome to this explainer. If you're looking for a bountiful harvest of those incredibly juicy, sugary cobs and not a mouthful of chalky starch, you've got to master one critical element: timing.
Seriously, timing and temperature are your absolute masters here. Think about it. If you plant just a week too early, your seeds will literally rot in the cold dirt. But pick an ear just a day too late, all that delicious gourmet sugar instantly converts into tough, chalky starch. Miss the window, and well, the harvest is pretty much ruined.
So here's how we're going to get it perfectly right today. We'll start with introduction and variety selection, move on to preparation and sowing time, then cover planting techniques and rules. After that, we'll dive into the watering and feeding regimen, tackle common challenges and solutions, and finally, wrap up with harvest, storage, and culinary tips.
Okay, let's jump straight into Section 1, Introduction and Variety Selection, choosing your perfect sweet corn.
Now, right out of the gate, you face the ultimate gardener's trade-off. On one hand, you've got traditional SU or normal sugary varieties. These guys are rugged. They can handle cooler spring soils no problem, but their sugar turns to starch super fast once picked. On the other hand, you have the incredibly sweet SH2 hybrids. These are absolute divas. They have these fragile, shrunken seeds that demand total warmth, but man, they reward you by staying sweet for days after harvesting.
When we're talking about specific heavy hitters, you've got some fantastic options. Take GSS 8529F1, for example. It's a super sweet hybrid that throws out massive golden cobs, but only if you respect its precise 84-day schedule. Or if you're leaning more towards a classic, reliable heirloom, Golden Bantam is an awesome choice, especially for organic home gardens.
Moving right along to Section 2. Preparation and sowing time, mastering the temperature clock.
So the magic number here is 15 degrees Celsius, or 59 degrees Fahrenheit. And listen, this isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's a hard physiological rule. While your traditional corn can handle chillier dirt, those premium super sweet seeds, they will simply halt their growth and rot right in the ground if the soil at a 10-centimeter depth isn't at least 15 degrees. Get a soil thermometer, folks.
Timing-wise, depending on your climate, mid-April is usually your absolute earliest sowing window, and that's generally under plastic covers. For standard outdoor super sweets, you're aiming for late April to early May. Oh, and a pro tip? To ensure a continuous summer harvest, stagger your planting every 7 to 10 days. Just make sure that final successive crop has enough time to beat the autumn frost.
All right, on to Section 3, Planting Techniques and Rules, How to Sow for Success.
When it comes to actually getting the seeds in the ground, depth is absolutely vital. Notice that those shrunken, fragile SH2 seeds have to be planted shallower, just 3 to 4 centimeters deep. Why? Because they literally lack the stored energy reserves needed to push their way up through a thick, heavy crust of soil.
And here is the golden rule of corn geometry. Always plant in blocks of at least 4 rows. Never, ever in a single long row. You see, corn is wind-pollinated. So if you plant a single file line, the wind is just going to blow all that precious pollen straight into your neighbor's yard, leaving you with sad, half-empty, toothless cobs.
You also really need to understand spatial isolation. It's actually a pretty wild botanical quirk. If your sweet corn cross-pollinates with nearby field corn, or frankly even a different type of sweet corn, that genetic mix destroys the sugar content. Your gourmet harvest will literally taste like chalky cattle feed. To stop this, you've got to separate different types by 200 to 400 meters or stagger their flowering times by 10 to 15 days.
Next up, Section 4, Watering and Feeding Regimen, Fueling Rapid Growth.
Sweet corn is an incredibly heavy feeder. You want to start with a strong baseline of compost and some phosphorus and potassium early on. Then hit it with fast-acting nitrogen right when it reaches the 5 to 6 leaf stage. Finally, during the silking stage, applying calcium nitrate to the soil and giving the plants a foliar boron spray practically guarantees beautifully developed, plump kernels. But all that food is entirely useless without water. Corn is incredibly thirsty and needs deep, consistent moisture, around 350 millimeters overall. Here's the catch, though. If the soil dries out during the crucial pollination window, which is those 2 weeks right before the silks appear, the kernels simply will not form. Drip irrigation is going to be your absolute best friend here. All right, Section 5, Common Challenges and Solutions, Protecting Your Crop.
Even with perfect timing, nature's going to test you. You've got to stay vigilant. A simple row cover can actually save your germinating seeds from hungry birds. For corn smut, which causes those alien-looking gray galls, immediate removal is the only way to stop the fungus from spreading. And for raccoons, who honestly love sweet corn just as much as you do, a 2-strand electric fence installed right before ripening is often your only line of defense.
Environmental stressors are huge, too. For instance, if a midsummer heat wave hits right as the tassels open and temps spike above 35 degrees Celsius, the pollen can literally die before it even has a chance to fertilize the ear. That's exactly why timing your planting to avoid that midsummer blooming window is such a brilliant strategic move.
Finally, we've reached Section 6, Harvest, Storage, and Culinary, the final countdown.
Harvesting is where you get to be really hands-on. You can't just rely on a calendar here. You've got to feel the ear for plumpness and look for those dark brown drying silks. Then, you do the classic thumbnail test. Just peel back a little husk and pierce a kernel with your nail. If a milky, sugary sap pops out, boom, it is absolutely perfect and ready for the pot. Clear liquid means you're too early, and a doughy paste means you're too late.
Once you snap that ear off the stalk, the clock seriously accelerates. To lock in that gourmet sweetness, you need to harvest at dawn when the air is cool. Get this, sugar turns to starch 10 times faster at 21 degrees Celsius than it does at freezing. You basically need to sprint that corn from the garden to your fridge or plunge it straight into boiling water to freeze it for winter.
Now, as we wrap things up, I really want to emphasize an important disclaimer. These guidelines we've discussed, they are a fantastic compass, but agriculture is always subject to the whims of regional weather. Late frosts, sudden heat waves, things change. So always remember that your local soil thermometer is your ultimate, undisputed guide.
You now hold the secret of temperature and timing for the perfect sweet corn. The real question is, how will you stagger your planting this season to make sure you capture that pure sugar all summer long? Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer. You've got the knowledge, you've got the strategy. Now get out there, keep a close watch on that thermometer, and happy planting.